Welcome, everybody, to Ask the Professor. I'm your host, Professor Ben, and we get together every Wednesday to talk about all kinds of cool things like influence and business, anything that has to do with leadership or the challenges of sales, even. That's why we're here, and we are here and committed to answering your questions. So go ahead, put your questions in right now that you have for us so that we can hopefully get to them in this episode, if not a later episode, and help you through whatever challenge that you're having right now. And today we are joined by the one and only Ari Justice. Thank you so much for being here with us. She is our producer of the show. She makes all this come together and happen. When we have guests, you get the guests all organized. You've got all kinds of great content and slides for us. So thank you for all that you do to keep this show going, Ari.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate all the love. All the love. That's great.
Hey, you know what? It's all part of the fun. So speaking of all the love, we're talking about conflict.
Oh, man. My favorite.
It is as an S style, right? Definitely your favorite. And it's also something that happens in the workplace, right? We've talked about this on previous episodes. We need conflict, sometimes referred to as creative friction, right?
Ooh.
Because the opposite of conflict could just be we're not really into what's happening right now, right? Apathy, and not really trying to put our best foot forward as a team because we feel like maybe this isn't a safe place. Maybe my opinion isn't valued on this team. That's the worst side of it, right? And the other side of conflict is finger pointing and attacking. We don't want any of that. We want healthy conflict on our team because healthy conflict is what helps us make better decisions. It's what increases our performance. So as leaders, we've got to create a culture that embraces healthy conflict. We're not going to be successful without it. So we've talked about so many great things. And Ari, I think some of the feedback we've gotten that's been really powerful is the context of DISC assessment, right? Understanding different communication styles of the people on your team and how that impacts the way that we navigate through conflict.
Oh, man. Once you have that insight into DISC, you're like, oh my God, that's why they're acting this way. They're not coming from a bad place. They're just thinking what they're doing is right and good for the team overall.
Amen to that, right? Makes things make so much more sense when you understand their perspective and their communication style. So maybe let's do this for those that are watching now that are not familiar with DISC assessment, or maybe you are and you just need a refresher. Ari, can you walk us through just real quick the 4 human behavioral styles and how that fits into the DISC context?
For sure. Okay, so our top 2, the C and the D styles, are going to be more task focused. So the C styles, they're going to want to see the data. That's kind of like how they want to be communicated and how they communicate. While the D styles, they want to move fast, they want to be brief, be bright, be gone, and then keep on moving. While on the bottom, we have the people focus. So the S styles, they want to see that you care about their team because they care so deeply about their work and their team. And the I styles, they love to collaborate. They want to be involved. So you can see a drastic difference between the ones on the top and the ones in the bottom.
Thank you for that overview, and very well put. I love that little cheat sheet there for those of us that just need that refresher every now and then. So, okay, we're taking DISC styles into account as we're navigating conflict. So I'll put myself on the spot here too and kind of raise my hand. So my DISC style is a DC. There are strengths to DCs and there are plenty of blind spots to DCs, just like all of the styles. And so if I'm navigating conflict, one of the first things that I need to do as a DC is really focus on the bigger picture, not just trying to win the day or the hour. And that is kind of tough. I will admit, like, I've got to look at this as like, okay, where are we going as a team? What is each person? What are their needs, right? Understanding the empathy side of things and not just trying to get a win and a checkbox on that win. And then there's that C style of me that says, ooh, these are the rules. This is the guidelines that we have to follow no matter what. And I got to just be open to maybe a little bit more flexibility as we're having this conflict to really understand each person's perspective before we just lay down, okay, this is the rules, this is the way it is because I said so, or because that's the way we've always done it. So watching that DC style, that definitely helps us be aware of what I might need to do in navigating conflict. Ari, are you okay? Can you help us through that SI style? Like,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
adapt.
Okay, so like I said before, these are our people-focused
Yeah.
communication styles. So typically, they want to have that harmony and everyone to get along. So our S styles don't avoid conflict. And Ben said it before, embracing healthy conflict is good for the team. So just keep that in the back of your mind to voice your opinions, your ideas, and any thoughts that you have when it comes to resolving that conflict. And for the I styles, I know you want everyone to get along as well, but you have to stay calm and address the issues with focus. Don't dance around the topic. Just hit it right on, and the team's going to appreciate that.
I love this. Okay, so that really helps us, understand ourselves a little bit better, and what do we need to do when navigating conflict, so that we're not just there to upset the apple cart, or also we're not just kind of staying back in the corner and not speaking our opinion. That is something that we need to remember as team members, that we're going to perform better when everybody's ideas and thoughts are included in that decision-making process. Otherwise, we're going to be hit by our blind spots and not have the opportunity to discuss that first. So it's a really, really important factor. So we had a question coming up, right, Ari? From what do we have?
This is one from one of our LinkedIn audience members. So I kind of rephrased the question. So when working with a C style that sees feedback as criticism, how can I bring up issues without making them feel attacked?
Yeah. So C styles are going to see feedback as criticism. They're going to dwell on that criticism for a long time. And that is because their number one goal is accuracy, right? They do not want to let the team down by being inaccurate. That's something they hold very high. So when you give them feedback, that is going to sting just a little bit. So how do you make them not feel attacked? Right out of the gate, of course, it's going to depend on, is this a problem with one of their spreadsheets? That might be a little bit scary if there's a problem there. Okay, we have to address it. We can't let it just go by. Or is this a problem with maybe the way that they are integrating with the team or working with others in different departments? Because that could be common as well with C styles. So labeling is going to be a great tool here. Okay, so just being very clear. So what labeling does, it just calls out the maybe a little bit higher stressful situation that we're in, so that the recipient has time to go from their amygdala fight or flight response being engaged first, letting their executive function start to also be part of that decision-making process or that response. So in a C style, their fight or flight is going to be, no, I'm right, right? No, I am right. I'm shutting down because I'm right. So we want them to get their prefrontal cortex engaged. So just label the situation. Hey, I know this is not going to come across well. It's important we discuss it. Give them a little bit of a pause. And I did find some errors in the spreadsheet. Let's go through them together. Okay.
I love what you said about the pause. Like, let them think about, they're analysts. They want to analyze. Give them some time to analyze, and that's okay. They're just thinking.
Yeah, I'm glad you're emphasizing that, Ari, because the pause for C styles and S styles is really important. As a D style or an I style, man, pauses are the worst thing ever. Like,
Yes.
I was in an elevator and no one was talking for a whole 15 seconds. It was horrible. The C styles and S styles, like, that was the best part of the day when no one was talking. I got to get my thoughts out and be really clear. So labeling it for that C style would be really good too. And then also remember, like, it doesn't have to be true criticism coming from you as well. So give them the opportunity to say, hey, I'm looking at the spreadsheet. I was a little bit, didn't understand some of the things on there. Maybe you can walk me through it. So give them the opportunity to find those mistakes. We know they will, right? Give them the opportunity to walk through it and find those mistakes. And then that way they feel like, hey, you know what? I wasn't accurate before, but I'm accurate now. I can still save the day and be a valuable part of the team. So that's another way to approach it there with the C style. So hopefully that helps for those of you that asked that question. And remember that the C style, they speak to themselves in this type of criticism. So they're going to come across back to you as you feel like, wow, they're really taking this seriously, or it's hurting their feelings. That's the way they speak to themselves. And when they come across that way, it's not because they're saying, hey, stop giving me this feedback, is they're just frustrated with themselves because they were inaccurate and they need to find a better way to solve this problem.
Yeah. And one thing I want to add is, again, the C styles, they love to analyze, and it takes some time, and they're internalized thinkers. Follow up on that conversation. Make sure they understand where you are coming from properly, because they may leave the conversation, okay, I understand, but they're internalizing it and they could turn it into something else. Just follow up and have that conversation. Hey, are you okay? How is the spreadsheet looking? Are you feeling more comfortable with the data that you're providing? Following up is very important.
Oh my gosh, great point. Because if there's a D style or I style or combination manager having this conversation or team member having this conversation, 10 minutes later, they forgot about it already. While the C
Yeah.
style is like, I still can't believe I made that mistake. Right. So, absolutely giving that time and that follow up is going to be really big. And then, all right, this makes me think too of when you think of the 5 pillars
Ooh,
that create an effective team. The foundation of everything that we're talking about is trust.
yes.
So going back to that question too, when you think about, whether whatever style is being criticized, right? No one necessarily likes to be criticized. Not really going to enjoy it. No one really likes to be wrong. C styles might take it a little more seriously. So we need to make sure that number one is that we're building a foundation in our team of trust. We're building psychological safety in how we engage with each other. It sounds a little bit fluffy, okay? Like, oh, it's got to be a safe place, or we've got to be able to trust each other. The value on how trust impacts the bottom line is second to none. Research after research of effective teams, of ineffective teams, dysfunctional teams shows that if there's not that foundation of trust, then we're not going to be able to work together and optimize our outputs and our performance. So we've got to start with that. And understanding DISC is a great way to build trust with the team because we get each person's perspective.
Yes. Very, like, different perspectives, different viewpoints. And again, if you understand where they're coming from, you know they're not trying to be malicious or bad. They're just trying to do it the way they think is right.
Amen to that too. So I love this visual that you have here. The 5 pillars of effective teams, of course, adapted by Patrick Lencioni's book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And so starting with that vulnerable trust, again, so much research that shows the team has got to have that psychological safety in order to go to each one of these next levels. So how do we use DISC to better understand our team members, understand their perspectives, and start that trust building process with them? I'm gonna go. Let's start off with D's. I think D styles sometimes get a bad rap because they're
Yeah.
like, hey, they're trying to get underneath everyone's skin. They're being really direct. They want to just accomplish something and move on. And hey, guess what? They're task driven, not people driven. So they are going to come across that way. Here's the thing: if you're working with one or two, maybe three discs on your, D styles on your team, there's a couple of things that you need to remember about working with D styles. And the most important one is not letting them get under your skin, right? That is the most important part. We take it very personally when a D style tells us how it is and moves on. And we're thinking, I can't believe that just happened. That conversation was just so brass. And it's really not what's happening. Again, this is the way D styles talk to themselves, right? It's very quick, it's abrupt, and they move on. So when you're working with D styles, know that going into the conversation, you need to be concise. You need to be tangible with your information, right? So not flowery with your information so that they can follow along in like a bullet style format. And Ari, I love how you did this here. These are bullet points, right? Because this speaks to what the D styles are looking for in conversations. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have other styles that are part of their communication as well. So they probably want to know how the wife and kids are doing later. But first, let's get to these bullet points. Let's get to the check boxes.
For sure. I love how you say they could get under your skin. They're not necessarily trying to. They love
Right.
to debate. They love to have these passionate conversations. And it comes from a good place. They're just very passionate about like winning or getting to their final outcome or the results. So don't
That's
take it personally. They're just passionate. They want to have the best result for the team.
That's very true. And you made me think of something. So if there's more than one D style, 2 or 3 D styles
Ooh,
on
yes.
your team, notice that when a D style meets another D style and they butt heads just for a little bit, that they actually connect with each other better when they're doing that. So if you are diagonal from a D style, you're an S style, right? You prefer to really maintain harmony and stability with your team, and you don't want to be too direct. Actually increasing your direct communication. I don't want to say standing up to the D because that's not what they're looking for. It's not what's happening. It's just being direct, speaking up to the D style. You'll notice that they will appreciate that. They don't feel like you're trying to fight them. They'll feel like that you're connecting with them. So those D styles on your team, just step up a little bit more, be direct with them, get to the point, and they'll appreciate it, and you guys will connect even better.
Oh, I love that you said that, because as an S style, and I think back of like all of my previous bosses, crazy that they're all D styles. And that, like, if you are as an S style or an I style or a C style and you feel like you're being too direct, like if you're putting your 100% directness on, that's probably like 25 of a D style's directness. So they're not going to take it personally at all. They're going to be like, oh my God, Ben's really stepping it up. I appreciate the fact that Ben is telling me it the way it is. I like that. They're not beating around the bush. They're getting to the point and they're being brief, they're being bright, and they're being gone.
Amen. I love how you said that too. That's perfect. That's a perfect feeling. It's like when you're at your max, they're like at 20% and they appreciate it. So just keep that up as you're engaging with them. Looks like we've got another question coming in live. Do you think that D styles are the trickiest to interact with their own type? I got to put that on the screen here. So,
Right.
do you think that D styles are the trickiest to interact with their own type? So, 2 D styles, maybe engaging together. I would say maybe not the trickiest because they're going to be the most straightforward. So they might be the loudest to interact with each other. They might be not be the most noise that comes from that or the most friction that comes from that, but that'll be pretty quick and gone. They've moved on and they actually appreciate and respect each other for it. So I would say maybe not the trickiest, but the loudest in terms of how they're engaging with each other. And I know you're not asking this question, but maybe the trickiest would be 2 S styles or an S and a C style,
Ooh, yeah.
because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be left kind of unsaid. And that's where a lot of misunderstandings can come from. So it's a great question, though. Really interesting question. You must have some D styles on your team for asking that one. That's great. Do we have time? We've got a couple of minutes here, maybe, to go to the next one. Let's go to I style, or if we
Yeah.
can.
Real quick.
So if I'm working with an I style on my team, I have done that many times. What do I need to do? So one of the things to make sure that with I styles is that we want to engage them in as much of the process as possible. So doing anything behind closed doors feels like a death sentence to the I style, right? If they're not involved, they're not part of that. It's like the sky is falling if that's happening. So get them to talk, listen to their mood, and keep them engaged and involved. Now, at the same time, you do need to set up guardrails because the conversation can tend to stray a lot, right? It definitely can. Again, that's a superpowers that iStyles bring to the team is that they're engaged with everything that's going on. We need that on the team. At the same time, we also need focus and we need some guardrails for the iStyles as we're engaging with them. Ari, look what we did here. So look how long and like
Yes,
energetic
I was
we've got.
just about to point that out. Notice there is no bullet points and there's some smiley faces in here. You don't have to necessarily match if you're a C style or a D style and they're like so enthusiastic and so happy. You may not have to match that energy as like 100% as they are. but just don't stifle that energy, because once you say, hey, this is too much, that's definitely going to reduce their motivation and cause a little tension between you guys. Just accept the fact that they're a little like that. They're a little out there. They're a little fun and enthusiastic, but you don't necessarily have to be like 100% on and like out there. Just let them be there.
Yeah, it's right. You don't need to outshine them. You don't need to outmatch them. I love that. That's a really important part with iStyles. And I know we're running out of time here. I've got some really funny stories about iStyles and working with them and the great things that they've done. So let's pick up with that when we get back, because there's a lot of good things to talk about with iStyles, why we need them on the team, and why we need every style on our team. Right? Why we want to create that culture that embraces the diversity of communication styles so that we can get the best of everybody on our team, make the best decisions, and increase our performance through that diversity of perspective. That's a really important responsibility that leaders have on their team. So with that, let's play that music. Thank you guys for jumping in and being part of the show, for all your questions. We didn't get to all of them, but we will make sure that we bring at least circle back around our next show. We'll see you next Wednesday at 11:45 Eastern right here on this channel. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.